Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Now I've recently purchased the Sony ZV-1 II that I have here, and it's a really great little compact camera. Now I've already done a video explaining why I bought the ZV-1 II, particularly as I already own the ZV-1, and that's getting these close-up shots here. So I've covered that, but I know I'm going to be asked by several people, why did I not get the Sony ZV-1F? There are many reasons why I purchased the ZV-1 Mark II as opposed to the ZV-1F again. Is because I got it at a great price on Amazon. So it actually was very close to the price of the ZV-1F. So that was one good reason. But firstly, this has a wider aperture main lens, and it's a zoom lens. It's an optical zoom lens. It's got an 18-50 zoom lens from f1.8 to f4. Now f4 isn't the best, it's telephoto end, but f1.8 is very good at its wide angle end, and that's wider than the f2.8 lens on the ZV-1F. So that's one reason. It's a better lens on the ZV-1 Mark II. Also, the ZV-1 Mark II has RAW support, where the ZV-1F doesn't have RAW support, which is really bizarre. I love taking photographs. I love going out taking photographs. I don't want to take more than one camera. I do use my mobile phone quite considerably now for taking photographs, because the images that come off my iPhone 15 Pro or my Google Pixel 8 Pro are very good. I do actually have the RX100 Mark VII. This is great for photography. It does have the same 1-inch sensor as in the ZV-1 Mark II. Well, it's a 20 megapixel sensor. I'm not so sure it's the same sensor, but it is a 20 megapixel sensor. But this has a 24 to 200 mil lens. But again, it's not such a wide aperture at its widest end. It's an f2.8 on this, 1.8 on the ZV-1 Mark II. Also, that goes down to 18 mil. So that's another big advantage, is the lens and its widest aperture, and the fact that it has RAW support over the ZV-1F. Also, the ZV-1 Mark II has phase detect autofocus, where the ZV-1F has contrast detect autofocus. I mean, that's crazy. Why Sony put contrast detect autofocus in one of their newer cameras really kind of doesn't make sense. I always found the images were softer on the ZV-1F. Also, the video was a bit softer with the ZV-1F. This has fantastic animal and face detect. That's the other advantage. The ZV-1 Mark II has face and animal AF, where the ZV-1F doesn't. So, you know, quite a few differences with the autofocus on these two cameras. Also, the RX100 Mark VII has face and animal detect autofocus and is phase detect autofocus. This takes its autofocus algorithms from the Sony A9, although this has a flip up screen, which I prefer for photography, where the ZV-1 Mark II has a 3-inch articulating screen, which is better for video. The other great thing is the ZV-1 Mark II has the 3-stop ND filter in it. Great for video. So you can still shoot at wider apertures without having to crank up the shutter speed. You can just slot the ND filter in, where the ZV-1F has no ND filter, the same as the RX100 Mark VII. That has no ND filter, mainly because of the lens that they've put into this particular body. Because it is a 24 to 200 mil lens, I actually don't think they had the space to be able to fit in you know, an electronic ND filter or even a mechanical ND filter. So that's why it's not in the RX100 Mark VII, but it is in the ZV-1 Mark II, but not the ZV-1F. Those really are the major differences as to why I purchased the ZV-1 Mark II. But for me also, I purchased the ZV-1 Mark II because it shoots at 24 frames a second, where the original ZV-1 and the RX100, and I believe the ZV-1F, although I can't confirm that because I haven't got it, but this one shoots at 24 frames per second, which matches my Google Pixel 8 Pro, where that doesn't do 25 frames a second. It will only do 24 or 30. So if I want to sync the two images together or the two videos together in post-production, I need to be able to set a camera at 24 frames a second, and this one does do 24 frames a second in 4K. So that is great, and that's another reason why I went for the ZV-1 Mark II. That is all really confusing and really complicated, isn't it? Because there's so many different model numbers. I've rattled them off fairly quickly. But let's recap then. The ZV-1 Mark II has phase detect autofocus, has the 3-stop ND filter, has the 18mm wide-angle lens that shoots at f1.8, and has the 18 to 50mm lens on. It's a zoom lens as opposed to a fixed lens. So they're the prime reasons why I went for the ZV-1 Mark II over the ZV-1F. So it's really odd that Sony put contrast detect autofocus in the ZV-1F and didn't have RAW support. I say RAW support for me is great when I'm going out taking photographs. I do like to be able to edit them, and the images that come off this sensor are really, really nice. You get some really, really nice sharp images, and you can print them, you can blow them up. They really are great, great images, and it's a great little camera for doing, going out doing family photography. And I want to use it primarily for, well, not primarily, quite a bit for video. I use my ZV-1 all the time for video. I've got the ZV-1 over there that gets my close-up shots. But I find with the ZV-1, the power supply isn't reliable. It runs off a USB, a micro USB port. That isn't reliable. Where this has, the ZV-1 Mark II has USB-C port. So far more reliable for when I'm doing this sort of thing. So yeah, great little camera. I'm looking forward to using it a lot more, and there will be more videos about the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the content of my videos. We'd really, really appreciate that. It does help me grow the channel. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers for now. Bye.